of environmental stewardship is actually a fundamental attack on economic prosperity. That's what Garcetti, that's the snake oil that Garcetti is trying to sell these different cities and municipalities. But these people know what's going on behind the curtain there. They know that this is a giant scheme to just tax their people, and then they can use that money however they wish and blame them for an environment because of their SUV. And the mainstream media, all they do is point the cameras at a setting like this and say, yeah, go, man, Garcetti, go, yeah, go get them.
Well, we've got a media that literally whines anytime the president or the White House calls on people from conservative media. That happened today. Jim Sciutto from CNN complained about it. But they don't ever want to ask tough questions, and then they wonder why these questions get asked of others. Here are some tough questions. How come you had people fly in from as far away as China for this conference? Haven't the liberals who, Al Gore, of course, supposedly instrumental in the creation of the internet, how come they don't even use Skype? How come they don't use some sort of software that they can telecommute so they have to fly there? You don't see the media ever going after that. They don't want to talk about the cost here and the idea that the left really promotes heavily, which is climate justice. Right. And justice is basically taking money from the first world, and that's us, and giving it to the third world. And they don't want to talk about how that's part of the taxes of the things that they want to do. They want to tax Americans to fund the rest of the world.
Their form.
Completely out to lunch on
their form of justice or equality, I guess environmental equality is what they're going after. It's absolute nonsense. It's redistribution of wealth. That's all it is. Now, thanks to the mainstream media, Mayor Garcetti now knows, apparently, and through the Los Angeles Times, that breaking into this country, that is what an illegal alien does, is illegal. It's officially illegal now. Roll tape.
Back in 2014, you had this sort of similar thing, too, where the system was overwhelmed with children. And so they were kept in these facilities that were supposed to be temporary, but they ended up being for much longer than they were intended to be.
Are the kids being reunited with their parents, even if their parents are deported?
Well, you see, that is the issue. I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to why it is that we have this zero tolerance policy right now, right? So this stems back to a law that goes back to like the 1920s that basically makes it a crime to enter the U.S. illegally.
Pay no attention to that law. I mean, come on, it's what, 90 years old. Come on, 1920s. We don't have to pay attention. That's the insinuation of that answer.
Well, also, you listen to how apologetic and how uncomfortable she is with that answer. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, but it is illegal. There is no bigger constituency in this country for illegal immigration than the left, and the left are being egged on by the media. Yeah. So what they want is an endless open borders approach, and any disagreement with that, any attempt by ICE to enforce the laws, any attempt by government, Congress or something to create new laws to deal with the problem or build the wall, the media are the ones standing in the way.
And I would put the onus when we're challenged, or the administration's challenged about, quote, separating children from their families, these ones that violate our sovereignty, I put the onus on the parents. It's not our fault. They chose to violate our sovereignty and drag their kids along. It's their mistake. We're just doing what the law says, as we would treat any criminal in this country. Meantime, the mainstream media apparently can't swallow the fact that the baker, and you know the baker I'm talking about, has constitutional rights, a.k.a. religious liberty. Roll tape.
Today's ruling, a narrow victory for religious rights advocates. At least 4 justices affirming gay rights, but ruling in favor of the baker because, ironically, they say it was he who faced anti-religious bias, calling out the Colorado Commission's language as disrespectful and hostile towards his sincere religious beliefs. LGBTQ groups, including GLAAD, worry this ruling could open the floodgates for bigotry. We must love and support one another. Hiding behind religious exemptions.
No one's hiding behind religious exemptions. It's this thing called the Bill of Rights and this thing called the First Amendment and this thing called religious liberty. It's that simple.
Well, you notice one of the things that journalists do is they always argue for the absolute maximum rights under the First Amendment for the press and the absolute minimum rights under the First Amendment for Christians. And it's, they're not consistent. They want to limit the Second Amendment. They want to limit the First Amendment, but they want their part. They've tried to turn the First Amendment into a carve-out just for professional journalists.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.